Sanctions imposed on China by various countries, particularly the United States and its allies, have created significant ripple effects across global financial markets. These sanctions, which often target key industries like technology, telecommunications, and energy, are part of broader geopolitical strategies aimed at curbing China's influence and economic growth.
Firstly, thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that like, subscribe, and notification bell for more global finance uncovered, as we continue to work hard and around the clock to always deliver and improve on our content for you. We would greatly appreciate your additional support by you clicking the like button, notification bell, and subscribe button and joining our channel's growth.
The immediate impact of these sanctions is seen in the form of increased market volatility as investors grapple with uncertainties about supply chain disruptions, changes in trade flows, and the potential for retaliatory measures from China. One of the primary sectors affected by sanctions on China is the technology industry. Sanctions targeting Chinese tech giants such as Huawei and SMIC have led to significant disruptions in the global supply chain for semiconductors and other critical components. As these companies struggle to secure the necessary technology and materials, global tech firms face production delays, increased costs, and a more challenging competitive landscape. This has caused fluctuations in stock prices of not only Chinese companies but also of their Western counterparts, leading to broader market instability. In the financial markets, the sanctions have also impacted global currencies, particularly the Chinese yuan. As sanctions tighten, the yuan has faced downward pressure, leading to fluctuations in exchange rates and affecting global trade balances. This depreciation of the yuan makes Chinese exports cheaper, which could offset some of the intended effects of the sanctions by boosting Chinese export volumes. However, it also raises concerns about competitive devaluation and currency wars, which could further destabilize the global financial system. The sanctions have also had a pronounced impact on foreign direct investment (FDI) flows into China. Investors are increasingly wary of the regulatory and geopolitical risks associated with doing business in China, leading to a slowdown in FDI. This reduction in investment not only hampers China's economic growth but also disrupts global investment strategies as companies and funds seek alternative markets that offer stability and growth potential. This shift in investment flows has broader implications for global economic growth, as it may lead to slower innovation and reduced productivity gains worldwide. Moreover, the sanctions have exacerbated tensions between China and the United States, leading to concerns about a potential decoupling of the world's two largest economies. Such a scenario could have far-reaching consequences for global finance, as it would likely lead to the fragmentation of global markets and the creation of competing economic blocs. This division could reduce the efficiency of global markets, increase costs for businesses and consumers, and lead to slower global economic growth. In the commodities markets, sanctions on China have also affected the pricing and availability of key resources such as rare earth metals, which are crucial for the production of electronics, electric vehicles, and other high-tech products. China's dominance in the production of these materials means that sanctions could lead to supply shortages and higher prices globally. This, in turn, could slow the adoption of green technologies and hinder efforts to combat climate change as the cost of producing renewable energy equipment and electric vehicles rises. The financial services sector has not been immune to the impact of sanctions on China. Banks and financial institutions with significant exposure to China have faced increased regulatory scrutiny and the potential for fines and other penalties if they are found to be in violation of sanctions. This has led to a more cautious approach to lending and investment in China, further tightening credit conditions in the country and potentially leading to a slowdown in economic growth. The imposition of sanctions has also led to a rise in geopolitical risk premiums in global markets. Investors are increasingly factoring in the potential for further sanctions, retaliatory measures, and broader geopolitical tensions into their investment decisions. This has resulted in higher costs of capital for businesses operating in or with China, as well as increased volatility in global financial markets. As a result, companies are facing higher borrowing costs and more uncertainty, which could dampen global economic growth. In the realm of global trade, sanctions on China have disrupted established supply chains and trade routes, leading to higher costs and longer delivery times for businesses around the world. The shift towards more regionalized supply chains as companies seek to reduce their reliance on China has led to inefficiencies and increased production costs. This trend could result in higher prices for consumers and lower profit margins for businesses, further impacting global economic growth. The long-term impact of sanctions on China could lead to a reconfiguration of the global financial system. As China seeks to reduce its reliance on Western financial institutions and payment systems, it may accelerate efforts to develop alternative financial infrastructure such as the digital yuan and the Belt and Road Initiative. These developments could lead to the emergence of a parallel global financial system, with China at its center, potentially challenging the dominance of the US dollar and reshaping the landscape of global finance for years to come.
Sanctions on China have also spurred the Chinese government to implement policies aimed at mitigating the impact on its economy, which in turn affect global financial markets. Beijing has responded with efforts to boost domestic innovation and self-sufficiency, particularly in key industries like semiconductors, AI, and telecommunications. This dual circulation strategy, focusing on bolstering the domestic economy while maintaining a strong global presence, aims to insulate China from external pressures. However, the shift in focus toward domestic consumption and technology development may slow China's integration with global supply chains, potentially leading to long-term shifts in global trade patterns. The global financial markets are witnessing a significant reallocation of capital as a direct consequence of these sanctions. Investors, wary of potential losses due to geopolitical risks, are diversifying their portfolios away from China and towards regions perceived as more stable, such as Southeast Asia and India. This reallocation is reshaping the landscape of global investments, with emerging markets outside China receiving increased attention and capital inflows. As a result, these regions could experience accelerated economic growth, but also face challenges related to absorbing large-scale investments and avoiding overheating. China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), which has been a cornerstone of its global economic strategy, is also feeling the impact of sanctions. With Chinese financial institutions facing restrictions, the funding and execution of BRI projects have slowed, leading to delays in infrastructure developments across participating countries. This has a domino effect on global finance, as many countries reliant on Chinese investments now face economic uncertainties. These disruptions could lead to increased borrowing costs for developing nations, potentially triggering debt crises and necessitating financial interventions by international organizations such as the IMF. The sanctions have prompted China to strengthen its financial alliances with countries outside the Western sphere, particularly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. These efforts include expanding the use of the Chinese yuan in international trade and investment, thereby reducing dependence on the US dollar. As more countries begin to settle trade in yuan, there is a gradual shift in the global currency landscape. This trend, if it continues, could undermine the dollar's status as the world's primary reserve currency, leading to significant changes in global finance and reducing the influence of Western financial institutions.
Financial technology fintech is another area where the impact of sanctions on China is being felt globally. China's leadership in digital payments and fintech has been challenged by restrictions on technology transfers and collaborations. This has led Chinese fintech companies to pivot towards domestic markets and develop indigenous technologies. Meanwhile, global fintech firms that previously collaborated with Chinese counterparts are seeking new partners in other regions, potentially leading to a fragmentation of the global fintech ecosystem. This could slow innovation and create barriers to the seamless flow of digital financial services across borders. The imposition of sanctions has also led to a reassessment of global supply chains, particularly in the manufacturing sector. Companies that have relied heavily on China for production are now exploring alternative locations to mitigate risks associated with geopolitical tensions. This shift is driving significant changes in global manufacturing hubs, with countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico emerging as potential beneficiaries. However, the transition is complex and costly, leading to short-term disruptions and increased operational costs, which are likely to be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices for goods. In response to the sanctions, China has accelerated its efforts to internationalize its financial markets, making it easier for foreign investors to access Chinese stocks and bonds. This is part of a broader strategy to attract international capital and reduce the impact of sanctions on the domestic economy. However, the increased exposure to Chinese markets brings with it heightened geopolitical risks, which global investors must carefully navigate. The balancing act between taking advantage of growth opportunities in China and managing the risks associated with sanctions is becoming a central theme in global investment strategies. Moreover, the impact of sanctions extends to the global energy markets. China, a major importer of oil and gas, has sought to diversify its energy sources in response to sanctions that target its energy sector. This includes increasing imports from Russia and other non-Western countries, as well as accelerating the development of renewable energy projects domestically. These shifts have the potential to alter global energy dynamics with changes in trade routes, pricing structures, and energy security strategies. For the global financial system, this means new investment opportunities and risks in the energy sector. The impact of sanctions on China is also evident in the global commodities market, particularly in agriculture. As sanctions disrupt China's ability to import certain goods, the country has increased its reliance on domestic production and alternative suppliers. This shift is reshaping global agricultural trade patterns, with countries like Brazil and Argentina emerging as key suppliers to China. The changing dynamics in agricultural trade could lead to price volatility in global markets, affecting food security and inflation rates worldwide, which in turn influence monetary policy decisions in various countries. Finally, the long-term impact of sanctions on China could lead to the emergence of a more multipolar global financial system. As China and other sanctioned countries seek to create alternative financial networks and reduce their reliance on Western institutions, the global financial landscape may become more fragmented. This multipolarity could lead to increased competition between financial centers, changes in the flow of capital, and the rise of new financial hubs. For global finance, this shift presents both challenges and opportunities as businesses and investors navigate a more complex and diversified financial ecosystem.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that subscribe, like, and notification bell for more global finance uncovered.